Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
What's going on? John Zander.
They did win, although it doesn't really feel like one. It still
doesn't. There's already rage in the chat.
There should be. If you watched this game, like the Celtics escaped this game. They escaped this one. Yeah. Give the Pels some credit for like refusing to die, but the Celtics kind of kept pumping life back into them, like at the same time.
Indeed.
Stupid mistakes, bad turnovers, some uncharacteristic play.
Yeah.
Tatum got just aggressive, just physical enough in the end, I think, that put him over the top. But man, that was against a team that is like barely has a pulse. They pulsed them just by enough.
Yeah, well said, Jimmy. Good start to this show, I think.
Thank you.
We're off and running. Celtics were out pulsed today. That'll be the headline.
They're all pulsing us too.
They're all pulsing us. For those of you, I'm thankful for the loyal CLNS media watchers who watch all of our content, but I apologize to those of you who've watched all of it today, because this is the third time I've appeared on a show because of emergency news.
A lot of John today.
Little too much, and I apologize. I would like there to be less, but that's what we've got. We've got. I did 2 Mike Vrabel podcasts, and one
wasn't enough, huh? You needed 2, huh?
Well, I jumped on with Taylor and Mike.
That excited.
They like it. They like it when I set them up so they can give their takes. And then Bedard wanted to do something emergency style, and I jumped on with him, so we did that. Those are both on the Patriots Press Pass channel. Good shows.
You're apologizing, but like you love this stuff.
I love the news, but again, I think the people need some variety.
Hey, they got Bedard, they got Cad, like they got Taylor, they got who they really wanted. You just happen to be there.
I just happen to be there.
Yeah,
I'm the setup guy. Yeah. So, just a couple quick notes before we get moving, before we go to the podium and have Joe gaslight us for 5 minutes or so. Just to let you know that the show, as always, brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, get 50 instantly when you play 5. That's, again, code CLNS on Prize Picks. Get 50 instantly when you play 5. Run your game on Prize Picks.
On your game.
Yeah, run it. Also, Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download that app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download Game Time today. What time is it, Jimmy?
Game time.
It's game time.
Run your game time.
Run your game and game time. So let's get into the game itself. And again, it's going to be interesting because the low-hanging fruit is going to be the threes, right? Like, not just that they're taking them, they're not making them. Mm-hmm. And that's the easy analysis, right? Like,
that's what they want us to talk about? Is that what you're going to say, John?
I'm saying I think that's the thing people grab on the most. It gets frustrating when you watch it. What I will say, if you go quarter by quarter,
29%, yikes.
It's bad. 13 for 44. Again, they were outshot 17. The Pelicans made 17 for 37. Celtics had the volume advantage here. They'd been losing that one as well recently. But the Pels shot red hot 46%. That's not something you expect them to do from 3. And, I hate just putting this all to shooting variance because I don't think that's it. If I'm going to look at this game, I'm going to kind of boil it down to a couple of things. Second quarter, where I thought the Celtics got things going offensively, or really from the point they got things going offensively, as soon as they started taking it to the basket, I'm going to actually say I think the offensive turnaround started a little when Peyton Pritchard entered the game in the first quarter, and he went to the basket twice early, and then Tatum went, and then all of a sudden, the next couple times people went, they got kick out threes, and it was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. that second quarter, I thought most of what they got was going to the basket. Then they come out to start the second half, and we were texting about this on our chain, and the first 5 shots are threes, and they're all just early in the clock, first guy to touch the ball behind the arc with even a sliver of space, just jacked it. And Joe's going to say those are good looks, and those were open looks, but those sucked. And then they finally got him to go down after they attacked the paint. And I think, Tatum went in, kicked one to Drew, and then somebody else drove and kicked it to Tatum, and Tatum finally knocks one down. But they opened that quarter with 6 threes, and someone will say, oh, they were all open. They were, sort of, but a couple of them were earned. There were ones that you got by putting pressure. I think the overall story for this team, effort can be one thing, but I think pressure is the other. They're not putting pressure on teams offensively or defensively consistently enough. They do it in stretches. You see Jaylen Brown decides to go beast mode for a little period, makes these great interior passes, muscles up, gets to the basket, and it's like, okay, here we go. We're dictating the pace. And then you just see it go away, and it's on both ends. It's not even minute to minute. It's within a possession. They'll play 20 seconds, 18 seconds of defense and laps for the final 5, and allow a good shot. It's weird, right? Like, there's just something off here. They can't sustain it, not even for full possession, let alone full quarters or stretches.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not consistent, right? I mean, it's
the
start of one quarter goes the way you want them to play, and then the start of the next goes a completely different way. And I'm with you on that second and third quarter discrepancy. They're defaulting to the way they shouldn't play. Whereas it used to be they would default to connectivity, ball movement, working the ball around, getting guys open. Now they're defaulting to, I don't want to say shot chucking, but focusing more on those outside shots, not getting out in transition, not playing strong enough or hard enough, if you want to call it that, on defense. And so they're not getting those fast break transition baskets, and they're not getting the opposing team on their heels. The opposing team's doing a lot more of the dictation of the way this game should be played. A team like New Orleans, they do have some big names on their team, to be honest. They should be better than the record. They've dealt with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, they've had injuries. It's been a weird year for them. They're not a traditional 8-win team. There's more firepower there for sure.
Right. Like the lineup they rolled out today is a better lineup than an 8-win team. So that's why this game probably felt a little bit closer than how the records would make it feel. But again, a situation where whether it was Murray, whether it was Zion, I know McCollum missed it at the end, but those guys kept coming. And it felt like with the Celtics in the fourth quarter, especially, sloppy, bad mistakes. Derek White with a couple of very uncharacteristic fourth quarter turnovers. One just losing the ball randomly out of bounds, and one with the 5-second violation. Misses at the rim, whether it was Luke, whether it was Tatum, whether it was Porzingis. I liked when they were going to the rim. I like the rim runners, and I want to see more of that stuff. But again, default back to the outside shooting. Default back to hold on to the ball and toss a prayer and play the numbers game. And it worked for a stretch. And that's when the NBA went crazy and said, we got to change the game. It's finding its level now, right? You can't default to that style of play. If you're not going to play hard, and you said it last game, I think, John, are they playing? Are they not playing? What was the word you basically said? Are they not trying, or are they not good enough? Meaning, are they just gassed? Are they old? Or are they just bored? And there's a big difference. And I'm not sure which one it is yet either, but I know that we're seeing far too much of it where this team is giving you like 70% of what they're capable of. And I don't, maybe Bobby or Noah can come on here and tell us why, or Joe will probably tell us why. I certainly don't know, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think we're still figuring it out. And I had Judah put a comment. I put a comment from Judah up here. Like, let's not like go to hyperbole here. It's not a disaster. We're overstating how bad they look right now. They just look vulnerable and beatable in a way that they didn't last year. And again, everything the Celtics are being judged by is the standard of winning an NBA title. And this looks like a team that's like closer to a second round exit than, returning to the finals or winning the finals right now, because they just, it's the consistency. The argument last year that was going in the Celtics' favor, good luck beating this team 4 times, right? And I would agree. Any team can have a shooting variance game against them. But if the Celtics go out, do what they do through a 7-game series, there was no team capable of beating them. I believed that almost all year. I believed it entering the playoffs, and even during the finals when they didn't have Porzingis and people were laughably predicting the Mavericks would win. I'm like, there's no way that happens. They can't beat them 4 times. I don't feel that way now. I don't. That's the problem. Is could the Celtics beat anybody in the league? Yeah, absolutely. But all of a sudden, a loss wouldn't be so surprising if they continue playing this way. And again, now they're kind of back to full health, and you're still not seeing it there. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And if it does, we'll say, oh, there they are. But until then, you're going to wonder, are they creeping back there? Are they somewhere? Or is something different? And I'm not sure. But yeah.
Vulnerable is a good word.
The Knicks have changed. The Knicks have changed quite a bit, and the Cavs are healthy and playing extremely well. But sure, they should, but they're not. Pacers beat the Cavs, by the way.
Did they
tonight? Yeah.
Hey, the Pacers are another team that on any given night, you have to bring it. They want to. Yeah. They want to run. They want to be. They're an athletic team too, and again, that's the style of play that seems to be bothering Boston right now, is that whether it's the athleticism and the physicality, they don't want to seem to go toe to toe with these teams. They kind of want to just outshoot you.
Sorry, a couple of people. I hate the too much muscle argument. It's incorrect.
Too much muscle. Yeah, I don't know about that either. It's his own body. I'm sure.
All of a sudden, Brown's too big to shoot. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah,
LeBron James literally transformed eventually into like a, straight up, NFL linebacker, and his 3-point shooting got better later on in his career. So it's look, there's nothing there. Something's
Tatum's not the problem, by the way.
Tatum's not the problem again. Yeah.
So that's not even it. Tatum
right now, you've got problems. Derek White is having problems right now offensively. Kristaps Porzingis, he was active, but overall, it's not a great line for him today. I didn't think he played poorly. And then, he ended up okay. It was 7 for 19. I think he made his last couple, but no, Porzingis. But Derek White,
Porzingis,
1 for 6, 6 points, 0 for 5 from 3. Jaylen Brown, another weird
couple of bad turnovers for White too.
Yeah, Brown was playing great, and then he literally turned the ball over.
Missoula's up there, John.
Characteristic turnovers, even missed shots, stuff like that. Like this is not what we know the Celtics to be. Why is that?
I think again, every season is different. You're on a journey. With that being said, if you take a look at the perspective, there's all things that we're doing well, and I think the most important is winning the game and making the necessary plays, and even when things aren't going well, so to speak. So every season brings on different challenges. Every season brings on different opportunities. And, the situation that we're in now is we got to just fight to win. Got to fight to make the necessary plays. I would say when you have games throughout a season when you lose because of effort in certain situations, tonight they were mistakes with effort. But when you have a few games in the bank where you make mistakes without effort, it's harder to, accept tonight. Like I thought tonight we had great intentionality on the game plan, great intentionality on the details on both ends of the floor. I just thought we made mistakes with effort, and those are the things that are going to happen. And as long as we keep it that way, and we continue to just get better, that's the most important thing. You got to chip away at the mindset.
When you say mistakes with effort, what are you talking about? Is there
right intentions? Like you have the right intentions. You're gonna. We only had 12 turnovers. It just happened to be live ball on 5 of them. I don't think Derek meant to throw the ball into lose it into that one. I think a couple of the drives that we had there was no intention to. So it's just plays that are like you have the right intentions. You just got to deliver it, and so when we keep it like that, we'll be able to figure it. Get through it.
Is that a matter of trying too hard to do something and getting away from what the game plan is, or
no? Like I said, everything we did was in the process of executing the game plan. And so when you make those mistakes, it's fine. So the difference is there's
My
been
least
times,
favorite word.
in the past where we didn't have those situations. And so, we were very intentional. I thought we had the right guys shoot the right shots. I thought we contested them, and they made them, and we were able to withstand that. And so the process of what we did, we made some not so good plays, so that also that too. But most of the mistakes that we made were with the effort and the right intentions, and that's what you have to fight for while winning the game is the most important thing.
Joe, what did you see in the 5-second violation?
Yep.
What did you see on it? Like, was
Yes.
it, you saw it was 5 seconds?
Sure.
Okay, like,
Yep. Sure.
you had a timeout. Like, that's why you saved 2 timeouts. Like, should Derek have called a timeout, or what kind of should have happened there?
Yep.
In terms of the fourth quarter execution with the missed layups, it's just things that happen, and then also Murphy and
What was that?
both with kind of like the season highs again. Like,
I mean,
what do
Murphy.
you do, what do you do about this? Like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to go back into the games and what Murray was shooting 29% from 3 on the season.
Yep.
6 for 9 tonight. I mean, he's at his best when he gets you on the side of him and gets downhill. And so there's probably a couple where we have to be better on the contest. You just got to continue to work through it. I think there was opportunities for us to force more turnovers. There's opportunity for us to, protect the paint a little bit more. But, just got to continue to chip away at him.
Joe, this is similar to what John was asking, but there have been games in the past where you've said, we didn't deserve to win this game. Is the difference between
not
games like
interested.
that and games like tonight where there's some mental errors just that intentionality we were talking about? Like, what goes in when you look at, the process of things versus the actual result?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take a look at, there was probably 4 plays where we tried to, where we beat ourselves on in the fourth quarter defensively. Some of the turnovers were really good execution. I thought our half-court execution, again, the result may have been a missed layup or a missed shot. But I think if you look at the quality of what we did, we executed that. And so, listen, it's been a challenging month. And so when you're in a challenging month, you need situations like this to be able to work through it. And so, I think I told the guys, it's a great space to be in. We are whatever the heck our record is, and the standard is high, the expectation is high, and we're in a challenging spot, and it's a great place to be in. So.
And then it felt like Jason and Jalen in particular were working really hard to get inside the three-point line a little bit more when those threes weren't falling. I mean, you saw Tatum hit a few of those middies at the end of the game, and then Jalen working inside to get some of those assists in the first quarter. Is that something you talked about after the Kings game or in general, or is that just something they're reading the game in real time?
I think it was just we were reading the game as far as what type of defense New Orleans was playing against us, and at the time it was an opportunity for us to just try to attack the basket, get to the free throw line, and get something either for themselves or for the other team.
The numbers for your starting lineup, it's a tiny sample size so far, but it's very uncharacteristic of what they were last season. What
Just
you
say
probably
bad.
expect
It's
them
bad.
to be, given how much
Bad.
talent there is. Another slow start tonight. What has sort of gone into those beyond just still working for rhythm? Like, what are the basketball details that are kind of missing right now?
Well, so what, up until this point, I don't know what they played tonight, but up before the game, it was 115 minutes as compared to almost 400 minutes, so it was triple the minutes. The expected offense was like 1.2 this year, but the actual was like 1.16. The defense actually needed to be a little bit better. Last year, to this point, the actually offense was worse from an expected basis, but the actual was better, and they were shooting 39% as opposed to 29%. So I would say those things go into it. When you've only had 115 minutes plus 25 to 30 today, you're essentially and it's not an excuse. Like, we have to be better, but it's essentially in a training camp form with this particular group. And so when you take a look at the numbers of the expected offense and versus where they're at now to where they are, you've almost had triple the possessions of the time, rhythm, trust. Trust goes into when you have talented guys, the habits. And so I would say that's
My brain is
and we have to continue to work towards that. So
not
hopefully we remain healthy to where we can continue those reps, those trust, and the accountability that we have to hold each other to get to where we are, and sprinkle and make.
The big gap between the expected numbers and the shooting numbers so far, do you consider that luck? Do you think there's basketball stuff not going right now. That's kind of going into that. Like, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the conversation, right? Like, which one comes first? Is it like, so I don't really have an answer for that. What I do know is we have to keep the process of fighting for the best shots, giving up the best shots, making the necessary plays to win, executing, building trust, building accountability amongst each other. We just have to continue to work that process with each other.
Whether it's a recent stretch, you guys have been on, or that gap between, like you said, the expected and, the results there, can that kind of take a toll on guys in terms of, you're generating the right shots?
I get so nervous.
In this game, there's a lot of point-blank shots that you guys missed. Like, can that be sort of a mental thing that builds up, with some guys having, lower shooting seasons than you do?
I mean, tonight I thought we worked through that, but over the course of a game and
it feels like a sales convention.
And so, but again, we have to have the mental toughness to continue to work through that and find ways to win without it. And so yeah. And I would say the ultimate compliment is
it's like a Zoom call.
11, and this is the types of conversations that we're having. So it's a beautiful place to be in. So I'm serious. I think it's great. It's a great standard and a great expectation to have, and we have to deliver. And so that we all know that, and that's the process towards it. But when you're, what are we, the third team in the league right now, which isn't great, but look at the fifth. Sounds like a Morgan here, and that's how it should be because of where we're trying to get to. So it's the ultimate compliment, and we just continue to work through it.
Yeah, along those lines, what is making this stretch so challenging?
We're just not playing our best basketball, and I think we talked about it to Grandy on the radio. Like when you're 7-6 over 13, it's not just one thing, and so we just have to continue to. And when the reference points are different, and so there's two great teams in the league that are having historic seasons, so they become the reference point of like, oh, you're not as good because you're not them, and they're great teams having historical years, and we're on our own path that we have to be able to work through. And just because we were this last year, you can't take for granted the details, habit, execution, togetherness, trust, like all that stuff has to be rebuilt. And I think sometimes when you have the same team, we have this expectation that we're just going to pick up there, and it's different. Different year, people in different spaces. And so we have to reestablish that. You have to work that, and that just takes time. So this is the space that we're in. I love the fact that we're not happy. It's the best place to be in. And we'll figure it the hell out. Yep.
I like it better when we are happy.
Yeah, so I think let's read it.
Oh man, that was like a Zoom call with the CEO. He's just going on and on, using all the buzzwords.
Yeah, it was a lot of buzzwords.
A lot of buzzwords. We hit them all.
Yeah, but regardless, there's a tone shift for sure in terms of it's not as combative. Like we did everything right. You guys don't understand what you're watching. I think there's an acknowledgement. You play 500 ball for a month. That's not great against mixed competition. It's not like it was all like back-to-backs with injuries and tough teams and this and that. You just played like ass against like an okay slate. There's some good teams that you've mixed in there. There's some not great teams. You've kind of found a way to, win and lose in a bunch of different, ways. So he gets it. I think that like we're not great, but there's still a vibe that we can figure it out. And of course they're going to feel that way. But I think he's understanding like, yeah, the reason knives are out, people are frustrated is standard is different. Now it's just a question of like what we talked about before. Do they get it back? Or is it just a bump? In 2 months, if they've ripped through February and March with like 4 losses total, nobody's talking about this Pelicans game. Nobody's talking about any of it.
I think anyone's talking about it anyways, but yeah.
I'm just saying, you'll remember these stretches where like, geez, remember they lost to this and to that, and these were bad losses, and we should have known there. That was the game where we blah,
Thanks,
blah,
Rodrigo.
blah. It goes away. Thank you, Rodrigo, very much. And we feel good. But yeah, it wasn't awful. I agree with a lot of what Joe said. I really do. Like, in the beginning of the game, I thought their energy was awesome. Mm-hmm. I thought they were flying around, and they just missed shots. They just couldn't hit anything. Defensively, I think they still allow too many looks, and they're not, they're not necessarily connected, and they give people too much space. So I think that's a choice more than it is an effort thing. So I'd like to see that change a little bit, but it's again, there is a very live by the math, die by the math sort of thing. We'll concede certain things, threes to low percentage shooters above
like
the break,
the Murray stuff, like
and 2-point. Murray's not shooting great, so they'll concede that. I think that's a winning formula most times, but when it doesn't go well, it looks passive. And then that appearance leads people to believe it's an effort thing. I don't necessarily think it is. I actually do think they went after it a little bit at times. They're just inconsistent results. And it just, some people just very simply, flatly, are playing worse than they were at last year. They're just playing worse overall basketball. Jaylen Brown, Derek White for this particular stretch. Porzingis still getting his way back. They're just not playing as well. That's kind of it, you know?
I agree. I mean, I do feel like the second part of what you said, the guys that aren't playing well, that's a bigger concern, because you kind of wonder, okay, well, if it's an effort thing or if it's just the intentions are there, and okay, so is it skill wise these guys have lost a step? You know, I mean, I'm not saying Jaylen Brown's lost a step, but certainly his shot is off right now. We can all agree, if anyone who's watched Brown this season, the shot is not where it was, where it has been. Drew Holiday in and out with some injuries, that that's another guy. But again, you get it in spurts. Like Holiday tonight, driving to the hoop, getting fouled. That was a big moment for them at a time where they needed to get something going. Al Horford had a couple of, or at least one that I can recall, a big three. But it's the consistency. And I think that's the problem, is you were getting way more consistent basketball from all these guys last season. So when a mistake was made or a couple of turnovers were made, there was somebody there to pick up the slack, right? There was, we would say, they're the deepest team. They're, 8 deep. They can just, there's nothing you can do about it. But now you look at them and this guy's not healthy, or this guy's not playing well right now. This guy's had a slow start to the year. Or, aside from Tatum and Pritchard, you could argue that majority of the guys have regressed on this team. There it is. Old Al. I didn't say it. White has, I don't know what the deal is with White. I don't know if it's a mental thing or a physical thing, but White made a couple of bonehead plays tonight, and he's not giving you that boost, that offensive boost that you were getting. He was like your second best player for like chunks. And now it's like you're getting a guy that is almost, he's a distant, thought sometimes.
Again, hot and cold, but particularly last 3 games, 6 points tonight, 3 points against Sacramento, shooting very, very poorly, 11 points before in that loss to OKC. But before that, 23, 26, 16, 17. So
I know, well, that's the thing. It's
a recent dip, but overall.
But you're expecting more from them, right? Just like you're expecting more from the Celtics. So kind of maybe what Missoula is saying a little bit, the expectations change a little bit.
You're expecting more, and the 3-point shooting is down considerably after basically blazing hot start to the season, where he was shooting 45% or so, after November through December and so far in January. White's closer to like 34% from 3. And you've just got these games where he's going 0 for 6, 2 for 11, 3 for 11, just not real 0 for 5 tonight. So you're not getting it there, but also White's been a pretty damn good shot creator, and you're not getting that from him either right now. So it is weird. And as you said, uncharacteristic mistakes that you don't necessarily see. We saw the 5-second violation debate, whether it was or it wasn't. Joe saw it. Yep. He said, yep. He saw it.
Sure.
Yep. But yeah.
He
saw it. Yep.
He saw it. I actually thought there was a couple games ago they were very close to a 5-second violation. So I wonder if that was something that they were looking for.
We're gonna hear from more Celtics. Bobby, I think, went hunting in the Pelicans locker room. I don't know what he's got. What it is? It's a Zion. It's a Zion obsession with Bobby. This is something he's never letting go.
He's not.
We're going to be fighting this one for a long time. There's no.
He gets that way with some certain things, doesn't he?
Fixated. If Zion misses 2 shots, Zion's been awful.
See, would you still trade Zion for Tatum? Well, guess what? Tatum just missed 2 free throws. Big free throws.
Zion's a force of nature, but he hasn't found it yet this year, which is too bad, because
talk about inconsistency.
He started coming back next year. Before he got hurt, he was playing really good basketball. It was really a shame that he missed out there at the end of the year. So we'll talk a little bit more. We're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks.
the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's NFL playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot up to win 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. So I will say, Jimmy, I don't know if you remember, but Friday, my pick 4 was Nico Collins over.
I remember the Nico.
Nico Collins more on yards. Nico Collins touchdown. Derrick Henry anytime TD. Derrick Henry more on yards, and Ladd McConkey more. That was my pick 4, and I smashed it for the Saturday game.
You didn't go with the 5th one? I thought you were debating it.
No, I was, and I went with 4, and I smashed it.
Love it.
4. In an easy runaway way, I smashed it. So that was great.
Good for you.
I didn't look at it today, but I looked at Saturdays and absolutely crushed it. Cadlick's been doing pretty good with his picks. So
I might have to tell you guys. I might have to start posting your plays.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but you can definitely check it out. We will, as we said, we'll hear from Bobby and Noah in a little bit here. But back to this game. Interesting stuff happened late in the game, and again, we were. Right now, okay, it's a win, right? And everybody can chill and everyone can say, doesn't matter.
Yep, they win. They figured it out.
Holy crap, was this close. In the last 13.4 seconds of the game, Jason Tatum misses 2 free throws, and Derek White, a 5-second violation right there at the end of the 4th quarter. In the last 13 seconds, those 2 things happened. And then they just gave McCollum an absolute bunny that probably he hits 19 out of 20 times, and right off the glass. And right now, again, people would be absolutely apoplectic if this went down. Because fine, let's talk about the looking at it in a global way, holistically, like what we're seeing about the Celtics. That's the main conversation. How are they playing? What's going on? Do we have issues with it? Will it get better? But just forget about effort or moments or execution or shots not falling. This was a meltdown late in the game here that almost just handed the Pelicans the game. You let them hang around all game, and then you literally put it on a platter for them, and it didn't. And you're extremely lucky McCollum misses that shot.
That's it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We're probably saying a lot of the same things, but that Joe press conference gets probably a little bit more interesting, and you're seeing a much angrier chat than you do right now. Probably have a few more 100 people on here just so that they could vent a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it came down to that 50-50 at the rim. Just again, sloppy. Couldn't close this team out. This Pelicans team. Remnants of a couple years ago when they had a lot of trouble closing teams out, and they let teams stick around. And this was another one. How many lead changes back and forth this game went? Tatum did miss those 2 free throws, John, which, you just can't miss those free throws. I don't know how it happened, but I did like his aggression late in that game, driving to the hoop. The one where he had the breakaway, missed it, and, put it back for the dunk. That was nice. I would have been a lot more disappointed if he tried to force more of those outside shots and the team ended up trying to score it that way. They need to do that more consistently. But as far as the Pelicans, keep coming back, I give them credit, but I think the Celtics kind of shot themselves in the foot there a couple of times, just uncharacteristic. And that's why I can't figure out what Joe's talking about with right intentions and this and that. I don't get that.
Thanks, Pete. Loyal viewer and listener. Thank you, Pete. Good to have you on. Yeah, give us a like.
Hard.
Give us a like. Give us a follow. And turn on those notifications so you know when we're coming.
After the games,
but other times as well. Bobby, every once in a while.
News.
Bobby
we have breaking news. Bobby
right?
on the scene. Yep, he does.
Bobby just likes to do stuff, and just pop in there and talk to other writers and stuff. He's He's sneaky that way.
He is.
Yeah. So where are we next? Oh, they're at Toronto on Wednesday. All right.
What do you
And then
think of the
back-
bench tonight, John? I thought they had a little bit more to them
Well,
tonight.
so I mentioned the Pritchard. I thought I thought that was important when he came in. Because the first couple of baskets he had were going to the basket. He had that nice little move and a nice scoop. I think Scal compared him to Steve Nash on that play, and it was kind of nashy. It was like it was the quick step, get it up before the jump on the off foot, which is great. That like you just sneak it by him. So you got good contributions. I'll say Luke was great and Al was pretty good. Everyone's jumping in the chat saying here as Al. I mean, look, Jay King was asking the question to Joe Mazzulla, and it's fair. I mean, with the starting lineup, if you look at it, and it's what's that?
I like this quote. Tommy Heinsohn used to say, "Run when you're struggling. Why not start running?" That's kind of how I feel about these guys.
He always loved it. Run and do everything fast. Yeah,
you gotta run the floor.
Run. But I mean, Jason Tatum, 38 points. 11 rebounds, 1 assist, but -9. He's a -9. People were freaking out over the non-Tatum minutes. They weren't awesome all the time. Jaylen Brown, among the starters, a team high 0 in the plus minus. Every other starter is in minus territory, including Porzingis at 8. And then you had the bench guys, Pritchard, 13. Plus 12, Luke Cornett plus 13. So again, decent contributions from the bench there. And you got 33 points off the bench, 11 for Pritchard, 11 for Horford, 8 for Cornett, and 3 for Hauser. Again, not bad contributions from the bench. That kind of saved you because your starters were bad again. It's trying to do the math on it, but I mean, just 3-pointers alone, that's 0 for 7. Jeez Louise, that's bad. 2 for 17.
But Holiday and White
5 for 26, 6 for 30. 6 for 30 from the 3-point line from the starters. Bad.
I mean, you can make the case that Holiday and White were like arguably the best backcourt in the NBA last year.
Yeah.
Certainly like on.
But it's the starters. This is crazy. The numbers are awful.
But that's what I mean. So Holiday and White right now, they're not giving you singly, they're not giving you that. But as a unit, they're not giving you that like best backcourt in the NBA production on either end, right? You're not getting that locked on, not getting as much lockdown defense that we saw. And offensively, I mean, Holiday's been struggling for most of the year on offense. And Derek White is more as of late. He came out on absolute fire to start the year, but he's come back down to earth. And so last year, Derek White was unbelievable for them last year. And Drew Holiday goes without saying how important he was, especially on the defensive end. But if, Tatum's having the year he's having, you start to look at the guys around him and try to figure out who isn't kind of stepping up to the plate. And we already know Brown's been struggling. We talk about that, but he can have nights where he goes off. But you're seeing it a lot less often now, I think, with Holiday, certainly. But White right now, I don't know if something's off or if it's just a little, lull that he's having right now. But if those guys aren't giving you like their steady play, and those guys are steady, they're supposed to be they're the guys they're like the anti-Marcus Smart. You never have to worry about them. You don't think you ever have to worry about them. They're going to make the smart play. They're going to be there when you need them. They're going to hit the big shot. And it's still how you feel, I think, generally speaking. But as of late, I don't think you can have that same level of confidence in that backcourt.
Yeah,
Unifax my dog me right now.
No, I'm listening to it too. I'm like kind of like looking at it like, I've been a bit of a Holiday apologist. It's not a fax my dog. And White, I think, was mainly good. He's not shooting it as well.
No, I know they're still doing the things, but they're not. I wouldn't say that. Again, if you talk about intention and all this stuff that Joe wants to throw out there, I kind of look at those guys.
It's the defense. It's not. I mean, you mentioned what
that's your best defensive backcourt.
Exactly.
Year.
You mentioned what Tommy said about running. To me, it's always about like the easiest thing to do when you're not. Joe mentioned last game, the offense is getting the defense down, and then they're not trying because they're getting frustrated. They're getting out of their mess. I get that that's happening, but it's so backwards because what you should do when things aren't going well on offense is dig in on defense and then have that translate to offense, whether it be transition or just getting stops and getting other teams out of rhythm. So it's so obvious. It's kind of weird to be the defending champs who played a near perfect basketball for an entire season and postseason last year, not understand that. So again, you're coming back to either urgency and whether they lack it because they're bored, and I get that, or whether it's, again, performance-based. The thing is, we're probably not going to know that until the season starts. I will say if they flounder and they're playing, not quite 500 basketball, but like, win 3, lose 2 all year long while fully healthy, I think you're going to have to start to think that something's not right there. I hate having the Jaylen Brown conversation without other people here because
we can wait.
Everyone will get mad at me. Just me if we do it. We mentioned the guard. Something's off with Jaylen right now, and it's dragging on way too long into the season. So we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. We are going to take a quick pause once again and hear from one of our lovely sponsors here at the Garden Report, and that is Game Time.
This episode is also powered by Game Time, the best place to get tickets to the games, events, and concerts you want to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Game Time is filled with terrific features like all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much you're paying. No surprise fees at checkout. You also get panoramic views from your seats in the app, so you know exactly what you'll be looking at before you buy. Plus, a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. What time is it? It's game time.
What I will say here is
Vinny knows what's up.
Thank you. And you know what? Come on. How do you think we pay bills here, guys?
John, you can't put that in the ad read. Get that out of there.
It's annoying. Look at this. Look at this. I'm jumping ahead. Orlando Magic are fun. This is a team that gave the Celtics fits last time. They played them.
This is a great game.
They got Paolo back. These tickets are not cheap. There were some. I'm not gonna lie. This is a tougher ticket.
This is a good game, though. I mean, how badly do you want to see him?
This is a good game.
194 get-in price. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah,
looks like
this is a
but
good
you know
game.
what?
They lost last time they played Orlando, and that was an Orlando team missing everybody. And boy, did they clamp down on them defensively
I see 99.
in that game. That's a game the Celtics played without Jason Tatum. Of course, Jaylen Brown went off in that one, 35 points, but they lost. They lost that game to Orlando. Big third quarter, Orlando came back. So yeah, and now you got Paolo back, and he's one of the best. He's one of the best players right now that might not be getting as much attention as he deserves.
Well, yeah, he's been hurt, but now he's back, and the Magic are a fun young team, and they give the Celtics, again, they're a team that wants to play hard. They have to, right?
Yep.
And so the Celtics, they don't seem to like that this year, John. They don't seem to like having the target on their back. You know what I mean? It's like they know it's on their back, but it doesn't seem like they like it enough. So $99 to get into that game, that to me, that's a good deal. Friday night.
Check it out.
I mean, you're going to spend that at dinner. You might as well go to a Celtics game. You know
Wednesday in Toronto, Friday there, and that's pretty good. We dropped more than that at the CLNS holiday party yesterday. I'll tell you that.
We did. You did. I didn't spend a penny.
We threw down. It was good.
Shout out Umbria. Good spot.
Shout out Umbria. Great dinner. Great night out for the CLNS gang last night. Thank goodness the Vrabel news did not break. I was nervous as hell. So we had the whole crew out there hanging out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I was like, oh, we're going to be doing this from inside the bathroom of Umbria.
I think your wife would have killed you, though, if you left the dinner table to go pot in the bathroom.
She's seen me do it before. Honey, I got to go.
We talked about this.
Is there a phone booth here? I got to change into my podcasting outfit.
Yeah, no, luckily they waited for the inevitable. We all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when, right?
That would be great. Yeah, this would be peak TV. I wouldn't have had my guys be like, Jimmy, they fired it's Vrabel.
I've done it before. I could do it again.
I wanted Johnson.
Yeah, I know. I would have made a big stink about it, but
I too wanted Ben Johnson.
We ride with Vrabel now. What's done is done.
Vrabel was not just a close second. It was a easy. Not only was, in my mind, Vrabel not only a close second in my preference, I also fully admit he might be the better overall pick. I like
We're a
taking
sucker
risks.
for offense, man.
I'm a sucker for offense. Yeah. I like shiny objects. I'm a sucker for offense, and I don't mind taking risks because it's go big or go home. So I don't know. And it's not necessarily floor versus ceiling. But I did want Ben Johnson. I did. No one cares about the Pats.
Because
honestly go look at our viewership over on the Patriots channel, and I'll tell you many people care about the Pats, but maybe not here. So we will not waste any more of your time. Even though
sorry.
Literally everybody else except for that person is commenting about it. And yes, no one will ever forget.
Well, no one's gonna forget if these keep getting posted. That's for sure. Do we scrub that game from the channel? That was COVID times, man. That was
the best.
Long ago. Oh, that was the best. First of all, I wasn't even that drunk. I wasn't even drunk. First of all, I'm never gonna, just like I didn't fart, I wasn't even drunk. How about that?
I did not have relations with that woman. Yeah,
John's texting me on the side. Dude, the chat's saying that you're wasted right now.
I was like, dude, you're slurring your ass off, Jimmy.
No, I was just fired up. It was Celtics.
Oh,
Lakers.
Yeah.
It's fired up. You know, it was a Saturday night game. It was a Saturday night game.
I need to know which game in which year. Somebody here knows. Someone in the chat knows, and they'll tell you.
It must have been 2021, maybe.
Drunk is relative, and Luke doesn't lie.
Celtics Lakers. I forget if it was in Boston or LA though. It must have been in Boston.
Yeah,
because it was Saturday. Actually, I don't know where it was.
Yeah, Luke doesn't lie.
Luke doesn't lie at all. Luke had a game.
No.
Good for Luke.
That was good.
Boat Jimmy. Don't forget Boat Jimmy. That wasn't that long ago. Although, I'll be honest, with the way the Celtics team's playing, John, I'm swimming in hard hats over here. I'm swimming in hard hats. I can't get rid of these if they're going to play like that.
What are we going to
show up?
Yeah. We need instead.
I can't even move. This is what you see is the only, what off this camera, I'm swimming in hard. They're all over my house. I can't sell them fast enough. But
you need like a Celtics man purse, like something else.
Yeah.
So
I need like a satchel or something.
Yeah, something different. Soft hat. There's no such thing as a soft hat. I mean, all hats are soft, I guess.
What do we need? You know what I need? We need to make Celtics like fedoras or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to watch Drunk Jimmy. We should have a best of clip there of just you just slurring away.
Slurring away. Come on. I was talking fast. I was fired up. People know that.
Yeah. That was exciting. That was exciting times.
We gotta get the hard hats back though.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So back to this game. Let's talk about it a little bit.
More.
No.
Can we just get Bobby here? Can we just get Bobby here and just give him? He can give us his take, and then we can talk about something interesting.
I liked Porzingis tonight. I thought he was pretty active. I thought he was feisty. He was credited with 3 blocks. I think he had more, and I think he affected more shots there. So I think he was pretty good. I know he's -8 in the 34 there. And 3 for 9 from 3. Shot still looks a little line drivey and a little flat.
It does. I feel like it always.
Even more so than normal. Okay. I know he's 7'3" and he's kind of shooting at the rim on his release, but it looks a little flat. I still think he is. He said the other day, I thought it was an interesting word. He's still kind of calibrating. And I think that that's true. I'm actually not. What's interesting is he's not among my concerns at all right now. I think he's right where he should be. I think he's still giving you what you want out of him. You're just not getting the 100% of it, but I think it's still there. I think something they lost along the way.
I agree. He's not a concern for me.
They lost that they were running offense through him more, both on pick and rolls and in that high post situation. And I think they do it selectively now, but that was always kind of the cheat code is when you'd put him in there, you were creating these ridiculous matchup problems and getting him in the PNR. And I want to see them go back to that a little bit more and utilize him as the weapon, because when that was going, the offense was legit unstoppable last year. but I'm not worried at all. Like physically, I think he's saying 85. I think he looks good. I just don't think he's got all of his basketball legs, and everything together yet fully. Like he's not in full rhythm, but he looks good. Like he's a real positive for me over the last few games.
Yeah, I mean he's 35.
And yeah, the shooting wasn't great, but still, yes.
I think for me it's just the outside shooting. I'd like that to tick up a bit more, and I'm hopeful that it still will. The outside, the 3-point shooting, he's at 35% this year, just under 35%. He was at 37.5 the year before that. He was at 38.5 before that. So he's not having a good, I guess, start to this from the outside, but what he does give you in the post-up game, love when he gets physical and gets up there for the block. Like you said, 3 blocks tonight. That just changes it because they don't play Keita for whatever reason. We'll never know.
I don't know what Keita
We'll just never know. They don't play him. So Porzingis is like really, I mean, White will block a shot. White's known to block a shot or two as well, but Porzingis being the big man that he is, it's good to have a guy that can be physical and do that and block shots. Yeah. Here's our big man, Bobby.
It's good to have Bobby Manning.
Yeah, Bobby Manning always.
Bobby Manning. Let's get 2,000 words on why Zion sucks. Go. I'm just kidding. Yeah, your thoughts on the game.
It was tough to watch. I mean, you guys probably went over it at length at this point. All those missed bunnies, all those missed shots. It was a bit of a ridiculous game, but it does speak to stuff we've been talking about all season in terms of, is the focus there? Is the shot making ability going to be the same as a year ago? And the layup stuff, like that, we haven't seen that from them this year. But man, that late meltdown, I mean, we're a floater away. CJ had the look.
Yep.
Had the time there, got it off, and just bounced out. And we're talking about an all-out meltdown and panic mode and everything else after this one. So it's hard. And, most of what they said after the game, we talked to Al, we talked to Kristaps in the locker room. There's a lot of relief. And I know Joe tried to spin it like, we're third in the league and it's panic time and it's a Morgan here and all that. I get it because you just want to win this game. And they went out there and grabbed 18 offensive rebounds and won it. Tatum's put back on the brutal miss in transition. I'll give him credit for it. Running back in there, grabbing in, dunking it home, and that effectively iced the game right there. But between the free throw misses he had moments later, White's baffling turnovers in a really bad game for him, the defensive lapses throughout this game. I mean, how can you spin this as a positive, especially when you're going up against the bottom 5 offense, bottom 5 defense? I get that their guys are back and that they're a better team than they've been. But if you played any commensurate defense in this one, you would have pulled away and won fairly easily. And their defense stunk throughout. I don't know how to spin this as, they won, win's a win, but that's what they did after this one. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, I think there's some acknowledgement there from Joe that they're not playing great and they're still trying to kind of figure out why, with the belief that they will be able to, but they're not. And so we're back to that conversation we had last time. Like, is it effort? Is it focus? Is it boredom? Is it decline, natural, or just simply slumps, however you want to put it? Whatever the thing is, it's off. It's slightly off. Like I said, you're holding them, and he acknowledged you're holding us to a championship standard, which is good. It's a beautiful place to be, or something like that. But he's not wrong. That's exactly right.
No, I like how he handled himself in that.
I thought it was good.
Yeah,
it was the right tone, which is we know it's not great right now, but
a lot of words to say it, but
it's not panic mode. But he knew it, so there's at least step one is admitting there's a problem. And so I think they've got that. It's not all straight up gaslighting, which is, there was some numbers thrown in there, but expected such and such. But for the most part, it was, we're not playing our best basketball. And there's an acknowledgement there. I guess the main question is why.
It's tough to tell why. And tonight it looked ridiculous, just how bad it was. But I do think it's all
in stretches.
Related to I just think it's easy to look at this one and just be like, what a wacky game, like the cartoonish lapses that happen and misses and all that. I think it's easy to write this one off, but it is related to a lot of the stuff we've talked about this year, whether the defensive lapses, the shooting decline. It was a bad 3-point shooting night, and they had good looks throughout. They just kept missing them. And then for 3 quarters, I feel like they kept forcing threes. Fourth quarter, I liked the downhill activity. I liked a lot of the plays they ran. And of course, they just missed a ton of shots around the basket. So I think you can half write this one off as just being a ridiculous game in terms of the misses they had and some of the mistakes. But I do think it relates back to a lack of focus, or at least a lack of urgency in this game. Jalen's night in particular, and I think he deserves, if we're doing a blame pie after a loss like this, he'd be like half the pie. I don't know what he was doing out there in this game, especially on that streak of turnovers.
That is a lot of pie.
That's a big slice. That's a big old piece.
Well, because Noah doesn't like it, why not? Let's go. All right, I'm giving
John is not going to pass up on
40% to Irv. Yeah, Irv Grousbeck, Missoula for not playing Kada.
Wait, John.
So that blew my mind at the start of the fourth.
This is the perfect time to put this up. This is John's playing pie. Here it is. Game's over, guys. Pie's been handed out.
This is the default blame pie that they leave in our little production studio here.
Yeah, there it is.
And he's right. Blame pie. The reason I didn't do it, blame pie in a win, is crazy. Luke is right. So we're not really doing blame. We're not really
That's
doing
my
blame
thing,
pie
though,
here.
John. They won this game.
I actually forgot they won.
Yeah, we're not doing blame pie. We're not actually doing blame pie. I want an excuse to run the animation.
Yeah, for
but,
sure.
I mean, I think the Jaylen Brown conversation is justified. This guy's the weirdest dude, man. He made 3 of the best 5 passes. He made 3 of the best 5 passes I've ever seen him make in his life in this game during a stretch. He looked like he was. It was that second quarter stretch without Tatum in there, and he was great. And he was driving and exerting his will and finding guys.
Who are they playing against, John?
I know, but still, that's what you're supposed to do. Exert your will on people when you can. And then all of a sudden it's dribble, steal, Zion strips him.
So that's what killed me. So you go on this 6-0 run, you flip the score. It's a good stretch for him and Cornette, and White capping it off with his only shot made of the game. And then you come out and it's 3 straight turnovers for him and Brown, or for him and Tatum. Zion's running the other way, scoring at will, and you lose all the progress you made during that bench stretch right there. And I thought the Pelicans handled their rotations pretty well to keep that bad deep bench unit off the floor for a lot of this game. It was interesting too. The Celtics kept Hauser out of this game for the most part, but when the starters were out there on both sides, it felt like the Pelicans had an edge. I guess I'll take a quick peek at the plus minus here to check on that, but. I thought the guards bothered Brown and Tatum throughout this one. The turnovers were timely, and they had a defensive game plan that I felt like threw the Celtics off. They were tight on closing out on shooters. They limited the Celtics to 44 threes, forced turnovers at key spots, and you look at the starters: Tatum -9, Porzingis -8, Brown a +0, White and Holiday both negatives in this one too. You lost this game in the starting minutes. And, what's the starting lineup's net rating coming into this game, John? -10.
It was brutal. And that's what it comes down to. You look at it the entire starting unit minus Jaylen Brown, actually, who was 0, was a minus tonight. And again, they're just getting beat. They're just not playing well as a unit. So, at certain point, I'm not going to start saying bench someone like Holiday or go to a double big lineup. I don't think there's an easy fix. I think they have to just start playing better because I don't think you're going to do anything. If you're talking about tweaks, I will say the disappearance of Kada is bizarre, but I have no quibbles with how the bench played. So tonight's not that game to make that an issue. It's just everyone except for Tatum among the starters is playing worse right now. That's basically what it comes down to. Tatum is playing a tick better than he was last year all around, and everyone else is a tick worse, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with the rotation. Then they tinkered with them clearly a little
Can't
bit.
do much with it. What I will say, Bobby, is it didn't happen tonight as much as it had in Sacramento, but you might have to reconsider the new rotation of Tatum in the entire first and sitting out the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter defense has gone to shit, and we've seen those numbers. They're they're atrocious. And starting the fourth with your best player on the bench for 6 straight minutes isn't great. I think Tatum's got to probably come in at about that 3-minute mark. So you might need to figure a way to kind of tweak that rotation a little bit, maybe take him out at the 9-minute mark and give him his break there.
Yeah, and that I think has hurt Brown throughout this season, and I'll give him credit for becoming more
And
of a passer.
Brown's coming out and he's not getting into his rhythms because he's coming out early too. He's got that Tatum sub.
A couple minutes into the second, yeah. So I think that's mounting for Brown, whose numbers continue to decline this season.
It's not going well for those two. You might have to flip it back.
Yeah, and Brown actually has his lowest effective field goal percentage since his rookie year. To start this season. So it's beginning to be a major factor in the offensive decline year over year. And Joe, as you guys heard, was talking about the expected and the real field goal. We're halfway through the year, John, at this point. So you would think stuff would level out by
That's the thing. If you remember, Brown last year, who might have had his all-around best season, was kind of dog shit for the first month of the year, but then flipped it and then was playing just better and better and better basketball to the point that, again, you're having that conversation of like, is he your guy?
Is it time for something drastic?
Yes, but don't ask me that now because I don't have it in me. Here's the thing. I'm not saying it's time for something drastic. What I'm saying is the second you get the job of a GM, because he did it before. You have a team that went to the finals and then went to the conference game 7 of the conference finals, and your average general manager says, "Run it back. We're right on the cusp." And Brad made a couple of bold strokes, and that resulted in a championship. That being said, those trades were too good to pass up. He just was opportunistic, sought out the right trade partners, and made the right deals with the right teams who were vulnerable at the time. But yes, as soon as you diagnose, I don't love this, you should try. You don't want to do it too late. And I'm not saying Jalen or anybody here, but you should not wait until you have no options. You don't want to ever go back to 0 or take 3 steps back. Any team like this who still has superstars well within their prime windows needs to retool on the fly. So if you want to take half a step back to take a step forward, that's fine. And even if it kind of compromises this season, but it's going to make you better next year or 2 years down the road, you should look at it. So there's always that pressure, like we're the defending champs. Can we dismantle it? But you absolutely should consider doing that if you think there's something wrong. Like if you're like, there's something not rotten, but something isn't right, you should consider it. But I'm not there yet.
I thought about it.
I'm way more in this should work itself out. And I just don't think there's enough time before the trade deadline to diagnose a serious problem and make a trade. So I think you're just waiting for the starters to all play 5 to 10% better and all your problems go away. That's where I'm at.
I think that's the right answer. And there just isn't enough out there.
So I'm in favor of doing it if they think there's something, rather than everyone would tell you don't, because that's silly. But I personally don't think that that's the play.
And we've had that Kata Cornet conversation again. Frustrating to not see Kata out there in this one. But Luke, offensively was giving you good stuff. It just blew my mind at the start of the fourth where he picks up a 5th foul. It's a perfect excuse to swap him out, go with Kata there, try that out to begin the fourth, and then go back to, your other main bigs there. And they just kept rolling with Luke, and he got decimated by Zion. They're going after him. He almost fouled out.
This is your best trade chip. It's your best value player, but your best trade chip.
No, you can't do it from a long-term perspective. He's too important.
I'm simply saying it's your best trade chip.
You can do it, Bobby. It
is by far your best trade chip because
in this new cap environment, you can. You have a guy like that who could start for you in a couple of years for $6 million. You just can't.
That's why he's a good trade chip. That's the point. It's
if you want to stink in 3 years. But I don't think you can do it.
You could get a good young wing back.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're getting enough value. And even when we get into the long-term stuff with this team, it's going to be so hard to win a trade.
Everyone wants them to make a move, but no one wants to trade anybody. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well, for me, it's not a trade.
Yeah. Can they flip
Springer? No, I never said this. Everybody in the chat said it. I said they should stand pat and just wait for everybody to play better. No, I didn't say it. Bobby asked, should they make a big move? No, I did not say that. But I would say
I said something drastic, and what I'm getting at there isn't a trade. Although you should go out and get Javonte Green or something like that. I think that's a no-brainer. Use your seconds. Those aren't important. You got to invest in this year to that level, and then use your first to build long term. So I think you need a wing like that, and he looked great tonight. I love the way he played for New Orleans. But the drastic move to me, John, and he mentioned it again tonight, as Porzingis tries to get back into the mix here, get up to speed, I think you swap him with Horford. Put Horford back into that starting lineup. Let Porzingis mash some second units with Brown. Have that combination that's looked so good for you there. And, if you want to switch it back later in the year when Porzingis is all the way up to speed, go ahead. But I think it will balance your lineups a little bit. It'll get Al more involved offensively, produce some more threes, I'm sure, allow you to switch and crunch time and all that. So I would flip those two. And Porzingis has played great in the last handful of games here. It feels like he's getting back up to speed.
And we did talk about that. Porzingis was good. Here's Porzingis in the locker room today.
Good. Honestly, for example, the first game I came back against Clippers felt pretty natural. Boom, I was right in. But then again, I'm out. I'm out a little bit. Not playing my best basketball, not being as efficient. That adds up. A little bit to the team. So, but now I look forward to having a good long stretch of being healthy and getting in a good rhythm, and everybody us hitting our stride, and and having a good stretch now all the way up until the All-Star break, and then finish out the season strong and peak at the right moment, and do what we need to do.
So KP was good. I think I've liked a lot. I crossed earlier, Bobby, Jimmy, and I crossed Porzingis off our list of things we have any concern about. I actually like the way he's trending overall and what they're getting, and he looks good. He's not all the way back, and as we said, still calibrating. He said the other day, but yeah, Jimmy, go ahead.
And that's why I kind of disagree with Bobby, respectfully. I don't want to punish Porzingis because Horford needs to get it going or something like that. I think Porzingis needs to stay in that starting lineup. He needs as many reps with the starters as he can get. He's already playing from behind in that category. I don't really see the need from him coming off the bench.
Right.
He's given you what you want for the most part. Yeah, he might not be 100% yet, but putting him on the bench isn't going to ramp that up and isn't going to make that happen any sooner than if he was playing starter.
But they're plus 22 with the other lineup.
We have 38 points from Jason Tatum tonight. It's nap time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from
38.
Understanding that maybe we're not shooting the three as well as we like.
This is the way to close.
38 sheep jumping over the.
This is the way to close the show right before we send everybody off to bed.
Yeah, this is good.
Jason, big roar off those two dunks, flying high, lots of energy. Then you smoke those two free throws. How are you at managing your emotions when the game is tight, and are you seeing yourself improve in that category?
Yeah. I mean, uncharacteristic, missing those two free throws.
Smoked them.
Just to put the game away. No excuse for that, but I've made countless plays to win games and stuff over my career, so pretty confident in those moments, but like you said, smoked those two free throws. Wasn't happy about that, but we still won.
Jason, in a month when you guys
really
might not
missed
be
him.
playing up to the standard
I couldn't
you might
believe
want
that.
to be at, you come into a game like this, there's some mistakes at the end, and it ends up being maybe a little bit more close than it had to be. But getting a win like this, where stuff like that happens and you still get the win, is that good in a month like this? How does that make you guys feel when you win a game, where even though you made some mistakes like that?
Yeah, you take a win any way you can get it. We just at a spot right now, 28-11 or so, third best record in the league, and we don't necessarily feel great about how we playing. But the positive thing is we know we can play a lot better, and it's so much room for improvement. So having the third best record in the league and feeling like it's so much more that we can get better at, it's a positive way to look at things.
Jason, you used the word uncharacteristic. I think that's kind of one of the words that's being used a lot, especially the last two games. You guys are not playing like yourselves, not playing like the expectations. Can you explain what's going on over this stretch?
Just a funky stretch, I guess. It's impossible to think that every game is going to go exactly how you want it. It's just not the way it goes. But what I am happy about is how we responded tonight through the missed free throws, through the turnovers, fouling guys, just plays that we normally don't make. I think we did a really good job tonight of not letting it snowball effect, and just figuring out a way to win the game. I think that's most important. And like I said, just being 28-11 and feeling like it's just so much more room for improvement, so much better. I mean, we can play so much better. Sorry, like, maybe you don't want to be playing your best basketball at the beginning of January. Like, we've been through this before.
Spin zone.
We still got a lot of time to get back to our identity. It's not supposed to be easy. Like, we get everybody best shot. Shout out to the Pelicans. They played really well tonight. I don't think they play like that all the time, but
I was going to try to make it through. I couldn't, but you're right, Bobby. You said it in the thing, talking points, and we'll close after this.
They don't play like that all the time.
I love that.
Tough.
I love it. The other 2 talking points. Here's what I love about it. I love that they have talking points, because having watched the Patriots all year and having them have no talking points and no consistency in messaging was a problem. Coach clearly said to him, guys, these assholes in the media are going to go out there and they're going to be questioning what's wrong. And you're going to say, we're 28-11. We're not playing our best basketball. And teams are coming in here and giving us our best shot. And we just need to respond. Great. Fine. I love it. They both said it. That is a talking point. It's fair. It's not an excuse, but I do like that they're on message with it.
Yeah, and I don't mind Joe's perspective there, and I think that's the right perspective for them to have.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, it's tough to not sit here and say win, positive, loss, negative. Like, that's usually just how this swings. And I do think there's a silver lining to the 18 offensive rebounds and them using that to win this game. But the execution, I feel like the approach for a lot of this game, and certainly a lot of the problems we've talked about throughout this season continue to show up in this game. And I don't want to hear about how the Pelicans don't usually play like this. Like, that was the first time this year, John, because I've said I do feel like teams are playing at a higher level against them. But you can't, like, after saying that 100 times to start this year, you can't be like, whoa, the Pelicans, where'd that come from? So I don't know. They're not in a great place right now. Toronto on Wednesday, maybe that's your get right game again. You beat them by 100 last time,
but they didn't get right.
Yeah.
Right.
We are gonna wrap it though. And so we do thank you guys for joining us here on the Garden Report. Before we go, and there's more coming up on the channel. Before we go, we are going to leave you with a little bit of Joe Mazzulla from the press conference earlier, one of his greatest hits clips. Here's Joe.
This might make the bracket.
Here's Joe talking about the 5-second call. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later.
Joe, what did you see in the 5-second violation?
Yep.
What did you see on it? Like, was
yes.
You saw this 5 seconds?
Sure.
Okay. Like,
Yep. Sure.
You had a timeout. Like, that's why you saved 2 timeouts. Like, should Derek have called a timeout, or what kind of should have happened there?
Yep.
And good night.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way. Let's slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke